There's another creature that simply takes residence in our bodies, and this time, we don't have a choice. More than 60 million Americans carry a mind-controlling parasite, which makes its home in our pet cat. And we can get it by accidentally ingesting cats' feces from their litter tray or contaminated soil in the garden. The parasite is called toxoplasma, and if we become infected with it, it forms cysts inside our brain and tissues and stays there for the rest of our life. But in the natural world, we are incidental hosts. To complete its life cycle, what the toxoplasma parasite really wants is to get from a cat to a rat and back again. But rats spend their lives trying to stay as far away as possible from cats. So the parasite has a clever strategy to speed up the process. It simply takes over a rat's brain and makes it attracted to cats. And I have an experiment to show you what happens when the toxoplasma parasite takes control of a rat's mind. But first things first, I need some rats. Check. Right, if I pop you guys down there, let's collect together some very high-tech lab equipment, starting with this big cage. So, big cage, 2 rats, and finally, this is just an ordinary cat litter tray. So, let's stick this in the cage. If I pop it over to one side, it'll give me a clearer indication of what I'm looking for. I want to find out if either of these rats is attracted to cats. Right, in with rat number 1. In you go, come on. Can you see that? That couldn't be more of a natural response. That rat is getting as far away from the litter tray as it possibly can. And that's what you'd expect from a wild rat, because if it hung around there, it may well become lunch for the local cat, and it doesn't want that. That couldn't get further away from the tray. Now for rat number 2. Let's see if it has the same response. That is unbelievable. Look at that one. It doesn't seem to be bothered by the possible presence of a cat at all. It's nudging right up against the cat litter tray, where one of its main enemies or predators hangs about. The other one is in the corner of the cage, the opposite end, almost trembling with fear. That rat's behaviour is not normal. It is a risk-taking rat, and I suspect that's because it's infected with a parasite called toxoplasma. Toxoplasma needs to alternate between cats and rats to survive, and by changing the behaviour of this rat so that it becomes a kamikaze rat, it's far more likely to be caught and eaten by a cat. Okay. So I'm taking this little guy to visit a vet to see if my theory's right. Right. It's a trip in town to get tested for you, chap. When the toxoplasma eggs hatch inside a rat, they work their way into every organ in the rat's body, including the brain. It's not just rats that get into trouble with toxoplasma. It can infect humans too, and if we're unlucky enough to ingest something that's contaminated with their eggs, the parasite can move to our brain and change the chemical messages there, actually altering our behaviour. It's believed that, like rats, people who have toxoplasmosis might be attracted to cats.
Really? Yum.
So that's one clue to crazy cat lady syndrome, but there are some other surprising side effects. In one scientific study, people with toxoplasmosis took part in reaction tests. The results were conclusive. People with toxoplasma had slower reaction times. In fact, the research suggested that you can be over 2.5 times more likely to have a traffic accident when you're infected with toxoplasma than if you're not. It could be because of the delayed reaction times, or it could be because some people who are infected with toxoplasma are more likely to disregard rules. And it's not a rare affliction. Remarkably, 22% of the US population are infected with toxoplasma. And once humans are infected, the parasite stays with us for the rest of our life, buried deep within our muscles and brain. But for now, I'm gonna get this rat tested to see if my suspicions are correct. Hi there. Would you be able to do a toxoplasmosis test on my rat, please?
Sure.
Wonderful. Thanks very much. Just like humans, the rat's immune system makes antibodies to protect itself against the invading parasite. And if the rat's been infected, these antibodies will show up in a blood test. It's not long before the results are in.
He is positive.
Positive?
Yes.
Thank you. Right. So the proof's in the pudding. Or in this case, the rat. My experiment proved correctly that that rat was suffering with toxoplasmosis. I'm leaving my furry friend with the vet nurse and hitting the road again. The very thought of brain-invading bugs makes most of us squirm.